Welcome to State of the Game with drynitz.
And PhotoFinish.
In this episode, we have a special guest, MacG of Simp. He's the current commander of Simp, and he was the old captain of the Simp tournament team. In this episode, we'll be discussing WGLNA versus Clan Wars. So, why do clans not really participate in the Wargaming League?
You know, as a clan commander, as a team commander as a tournament team commander for almost 4 years now, this is obviously, I would say, something I've thought about a lot. The biggest thing to me that is just the culture in the World of Tanks North America. Well, there's the culture, and then also the lack of knowledge regarding the prizing. It's always seemed to me like the rewards of doing tournaments, of doing the Gold League, have always been poorly advertised, and not a lot of people know. There have been tournaments that are hugely rewarding that very few people participated in. And I've talked to Wargaming about this. I feel like, a lot of that is because people don't know about it. And even this season, I think this new season 1 for 2015, the prize pool is $300,000, which is pretty massive in the global esports scene. After Dota and League of Legends and Counter-Strike, World of Tanks is right there, but people still don't really know. So I think it's a matter of informing people and letting them know how rewarding this can be, and then changing the culture to help people understand that it's not something that requires 8 hours a day. It's something that can be done with much less time if the team was willing to share the burden.
It's hard to get even 10 players from one clan, much less 7. If you look at most of the teams, they're really comprised of different clans, different players from different regions. And I mean, it's a huge time investment. And as Mac said, there's not really that much advertising. There is no benefit for the client to actually have a team in the league. There is no incentive.
And just to clarify, the $300,000 is for each season, which each year has 2 seasons, and there's also a grand finals. I'm not sure what the grand finals payout is, but I think it's at least that, maybe even a little bit more. So it's actually around $600,000 per region per year, with some more added bonuses on top of that.
And that doesn't include any side tournaments that pop up or may pop up, like WCA or Rumble in the West, stuff like that.
I've been on both sides of the fence on this issue about clans participating. When I was running Hammer Time, I really didn't care what clan people were in. Didn't make any difference to me. The clan didn't really have an input into the team. It was more or less the people that were on the team that had all the input. So whoever they want to hang out with, like when they're not doing the team stuff, I didn't really care. Now in Simp, it's more or less a community type thing where we're playing as the Simp community, as that's our logo. So I can see it both ways. As far as other clans not really participating in it, I think the most part, I think Photo is right that it doesn't really matter if a single clan participates in it. It's just the people you got to get in there and have the attitude to actually commit into the league.
I think the biggest thing, the biggest point that hasn't been hit on yet, is just that clans and tournament teams have different motivations. A clan, by its nature, if it is comprised of a lot of tournament teams, it's going to start affecting the clan portion, and so it's in a clan's interest to discourage people from participating tournaments, and that's one of the hurdles that has to be overcome, I think, and that people have to wrestle with.
Yeah, that's true. Because like in soccer or football, you have players playing on teams from different countries, and when it's time for a World Cup friendly or nation versus nation, then the soccer players, they have to leave their club teams and actually participate in the tournament, and then the team that they're on is going to suffer from them not being there. So it's the same thing. I mean, a lot, like every night, basically, like when we have training or matches, we have to decide, are we going to practice tonight, or are we going to play clan wars? So you have to really just choose.
There's an incentive for clans to not want their players to be doing tournaments, because having your better players doing tournaments means that your clan isn't going to be able to farm as much gold or do whatever you want to do on the global map.
Don't you think just the money factor, like real money versus fake money, comes into play though? I mean, I don't understand that.
I made the decision a long time ago that real money was worth more to me than the gold. But there are still clan leaders out there. There are still people who don't think they're good enough for tournaments who find sanctuary in clan wars and who turn to that because maybe they don't really care for the money, or they want to be involved with more people, or whatever reason they may have, and they just don't know enough about the benefits of tournaments. They don't know how rewarding it can be and how much there actually is out there to win.
You have to basically put your 10 best players forward, and doing that is going to weaken your performance in clan wars.
Photo, what are the benefits over League, or that League have over clan wars?
Well, as Mac touched on, is you're guaranteed real money if you're in the league, and I mean that's pretty huge. I mean, if you're in clan wars, you're more or less guaranteed like gold per day or gold per week or whatever. But I mean, if you're in the league, you're gonna get real money, and it can be a lot of money, because if you were supposed to win first place just from one season, that's $75,000 split among like 7 to 10 players.
Drynitz and I are saying essentially the same thing. I mean, clan wars is really two different experiences. If you're an officer in clan wars, if you're a clan commander, if you're a battle caller in clan wars, it's equally as intensive as the Gold League, and the amount of time it takes if you want to be a top clan.
Alright, Mac, from your experiences, how is it different when you're playing in clan wars versus yourself playing in WGLNA?
It's obviously not as competitive, it's not as high octane. So what that means is your teams aren't going to be as focused, they're not going to be as well orchestrated, they're not going to be as practiced as you'd find in a tournament or at least the Gold League environment.
Well, playing in clan wars is like there's zero pressure. We're playing in clan wars. Like, and most times you go in, you come up with a strat, like practically before the match starts. You go in, you execute the strat. Most times you win, sometimes you lose. It's kind of frustrating, but you never feel like nervous, or because you're playing for electronic money, right? So you never have, you really don't have much pressure. But when you're playing in the league, like, it's nerve-wracking most times, especially like your first match, your first couple matches and stuff like that. It will get your heart pumping.
All those games where like the people that they're like the elitist folk always call like the other people like the casuals and all that type of stuff. That's how it felt to me when I play in the league. Like, all the clan wars people, those people feel like the casuals of the game, and then I mean it's actually not that, because like pub matches is actually the casual part of the game, but clan wars is, at this point in my World of Tanks career, is kind of get the casual part of the game too now. I'm to the point now in pub matches where, like, I don't care about my stats at all, but I always play still as though I'm playing with like my normal team. So I always rely on the puppies next to me to really help me, and I expect them to know what to do, and that ends up making me die a lot. But I feel if I change that and try to actually get better at pub matches, it'll make me worse in the league. So I just don't care. Just whatever. Pub matches are pub matches.
Yeah, yeah, it's exactly the same for me as well. It's like I'm saying, okay, I'm gonna go help this puppy, and then he abandons you, or you have a player beside you and you push in, and he sits back and he doesn't help you, and then I remember, oh yeah, I'm not actually playing with league players. So it definitely affects playing just random pub matches.
All right, Mac, you played in the league for 5 seasons. Is that correct?
Correct.
So in those 5 seasons, how hard would you say the league was?
I would say the first 2 seasons, the league wasn't very hard, wasn't very difficult. The reasons for that would be because the league wasn't very rewarding back then, and largely that's pretty much all been addressed. There were a lot of problems back in season 1, season 2, issues that we brought up, and thankfully they're fixed now, and teams are being rewarded. Uh, but back then, it was much more difficult to get the rewards that we're seeing now. And so that was reflected in the skill and the time that teams committed. Really, there were only, maybe 4, maybe 5 teams that were committing time to it. Season 3, us and Fnatic peaked. Season 4 was a tough time for Fnatic. But season 3 and season 4 were so far definitely the toughest. Season 5, a lot of teams were transitioning. But I think so far the new season, which is being referred to as season 1 of 2015, is shaping up to be pretty great, and it looks like the league is heading in a really good direction.
I think the league is extremely hard because if you make a mistake in the league, you're going most of like 9 out of 10 times you're going to get punished, and 9 out of 10 times your tank is going to get like destroyed instantly if you make a mistake. Uh, if you make mistakes in pub matches or you make mistakes in clan wars specifically, you can still recover from it. I mean, it's 15 versus 15. In the league, it's 7 versus 7. So you lose a tank and it's huge. I mean, it could be game over for your team. So it's extremely hard playing in the league. Don't let anybody tell you anything. Like right now, the teams are really, really close. There are no pushover teams in the league anymore, and yeah, it's very difficult.
It's definitely hard. You can't really compare it to anything else. There's no like other tournaments that are as hard or as close of competition. Some of the teams that come in that are new generally take it lightly, and you can usually tell those teams right away. For this season, I don't see too many of them, but I still think there'll be like 2 or 3 that definitely show out to be the teams that haven't really cared as much. But as far as like the top part of the league, I feel there's at least 6 teams that have a good shot on making it to the top 4. Well, we have Mac here. Out of the 5 seasons that you played, what was the best and the worst memory of the league that you had?
I guess the default answer for best memory would have to be winning season 3. That was a season where my eyes were open to how good the EU teams were, and I put a lot more time into season 3 than I ever had before, and so it was rewarding. It was great to see those efforts pay off. The worst memory over 5 seasons. I mean, I don't know. Pretty much everything has been pretty good. It's hard to complain when you're being flown all over the country and getting to travel a bunch of different places. The worst memory, though, would probably have to be the loss in season 4. I think the matches started at 4 local time and they ended at 1 a.m. So that was pretty awful. Just the format was dead. Everyone knew it was bad, and it was exploited as much as it possibly could be. And it was just an awful way to end the season.
Best memory was getting a top gun in a particular match. Yeah, that match where I think it was two versus five or something, and we ended up winning that match. Yeah, I felt like really good after that match. Um, Worst moment was season three when we lost to Fnatic in 7 games. Getting that close and losing to them in a game seven in a ridiculous format or fashion, I should say. You know, yeah, that really was like the worst moment because we were so close to uh, going up against Simp in the finals.
So I'll have to agree with you on the worst moment. Jackie Rudo hitting the blind shot on base cap to reset it and give them the win. It's definitely the worst. I think my season 3 play was quite good. I remember at the end of the season being in like the top 3 of almost every single stat category. But I mean that's probably what I'm most proud of. But maybe I guess I have to go with week 1 of this season. Just winning the game on steps, even though it wasn't that difficult, not as bad as everybody was making it out to be. It was actually fairly easy, and I think anybody else on the team would have been able to do the same thing in my position. But that was nice to get that win, being able to win that for the team. You know, getting some praise from good players like Nagatron and some of the other players in the league. I believe Commander J said some nice stuff about it too. So that was good. I enjoyed that. You don't get that very much.